I want to welcome you back to the church versus human trafficking. Again, I'm Chris Harrison, currently the senior pastor at Athens First United Methodist Church. The purpose of this presentation is to help you and me, the church, to answer a couple of questions. First, what do we need to know about human trafficking? And second, what is God, or how is God calling us to get involved in the fight to eradicate human trafficking? This segment is going to be about how do we get awareness into the school systems. And our presenter is going to be Denise Mears with Project Protect Our Children. If you're watching on Facebook and you have questions, you can drop those into the comment section, and we'll try to get those as best as we can. But I know that Denise will have a lot to share with us. Before Denise begins, let me pray. God, this is such an important area as our children are educated, to help to educate them about this in their life. And even more, God, how we as church can help our educational system to help our students, our children, to be aware of these things in their lives. How do we as influencers make this a priority in our schools? How do we work alongside you so that your precious children, wherever they are safe and knowledgeable and making a difference in the world around them? God, just pour your spirit through Denise as she shares with us, and help us to gain a greater understanding of all that you want us to hear in gaining awareness in our school. Through Christ our Lord. Amen. All right, Denise, it's all yours.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And thank you for this opportunity to be able to share with everybody that is here today. I have to say, it truly is a blessing. And I remarked about Chris's shirt because one of the programs I'm going to discuss today is our Youth Action Board, and that is their Human Trafficking Awareness shirt from last year. And so I was so excited to see Chris wearing it. So I'm just going to pull up my screen share real quick and begin. Let's see. There we go. And my name is Denise Mears. I'm with Project Protect Our Children. I am the executive director and the founder. And again, thank you so much. You have done an amazing job just showing up today and taking the opportunity to hear about the ways that you can impact human trafficking in your communities. So Project Protect Our Children was founded in 2019. Our mission is we are dedicated to preventing child sex trafficking, exploitation, and abuse through proactive community engagement, preventative educational programs, awareness, and empowerment opportunities. And our vision is a world where every childhood is free from predators, exploitation, and abuse. To give you a little bit of a backstory, God gave me the opportunity in 2016 to go into Houston, and because I am living in a suburb of Houston, but he gave me the opportunity to go into Houston and really have my eyes opened to what was going on. You know, until that time, I didn't understand the complexities. And I had the opportunity to work with a nonprofit that was providing services to teenage trafficking survivors. And it's through my experiences there with those young girls that I felt called to found Project Protect Our Children, because I truly saw that there were opportunities where we could have made a difference, where if our children were just given the knowledge and the skills that they needed to be able to identify that level of manipulation, they wouldn't have been where they were. And the reality is you can help a trafficking victim, a young child, you can help them rebuild their lives. You can help them realize that their dreams are still attainable, but you cannot take away those scars, that trauma that they will live with for the rest of their lives. But if we can do something to prevent it, if we can get there before it happens. So Just to go over our agenda for today, and I know that many of you have been on this platform all day, and for those of you, thank you so much. But just so that I can be sure that we're starting on the same foot and have that same knowledge base, we're going to briefly talk about human trafficking and make sure we fully understand what it is, and particularly when it comes to minors. We're going to talk about the size of the problem in Texas, then trafficking in schools, how to bridge the gap that allows human trafficking to continue, and then how and using what means can we increase the protective factors of our children, and how can we build resiliency in our students. And then I want to talk about what your role is and what are some next steps that you could do. So the AMP model, action plus means plus purpose equals human trafficking. I'm a visual learner, and so I love this because it breaks down exactly what human trafficking is. If an action induces, recruits, harbors, transports, provides, or obtains by use of force, fraud, or coercion for the purpose of commercial sex trafficking or labor trafficking, that is human trafficking. The difference is for minors under the age of 18, you do not have to show force, fraud, or coercion. So any minor under the age of 18 who engages in a commercial sex act, if anything of value is exchanged, that child is a child trafficking victim. There is no such thing as child prostitution. So the magnitude of the problem. What exactly is going on in our state? So Texas overall has the second highest number of trafficking cases reported to the National Human Trafficking Hotline since its exemption. The University of Texas provided us with a glimpse of the problem that we are facing when they provided a study in 2017, Human Trafficking by the Numbers. During that study, they estimate that we have an approximate 313 victims of human trafficking. And of those 313,000 estimated victims of human trafficking, 79,000 are minor and youth victims. So to put that into perspective, have you been to NRG Stadium? NRG Stadium seats 72,000. So add another 7,000. So these are current estimates. But just understand that this study was done so with the basis of domestic children. So it does not take into account any children that are here illegally. The data that was used to compile these statistics were purely those within our state. So social media and internet, how does it play a role in our children's lives? Thorne did a study in 2018, and from that study, we learned that 55% of the children that were trafficked reported that they first met their trafficker via text, website, or social media. We know from 2010 to 2015 that there was an 846% increase in child sex trafficking that was directly correlated to the use of the internet. Last year alone, there were 1.59 million online commercial sex advertisements in the state of Texas. It's believed that out of the 1.5 million, 195,675 are believed to have sold children. Understanding the complexity of the problem and truly the magnitude is very hard because children do not self-identify. They don't understand that what is happening to them should not be happening. And if they do have an understanding that it should not be happening, they don't have that safe person and they don't know who to go to. The West Coast Children's Center out of California did a study out of child sex trafficking children and youth, and it found that 75% of the victims were exploited for 2 or more years before they were ever identified. It found that 75% of the victims didn't see themselves as being exploited. And over 50% of the victims were 14 or younger before their exploitation started. One of the most gut-wrenching quotes that came out of the 2018 Thorne study is a teacher would have been the most helpful to either give them a number or call for them. That study also showed that most of the minor victims were attending school while they were being trafficked. We understand that it's very hard to wrap our minds around the fact that we have children today sitting in our classrooms that are being abused, that are being exploited, that are being trafficked. But the reality is we do. School personnel are uniquely positioned to identify and report suspected abuse and connect students to services actions that can prevent trafficking and even save lives. This comes to us from the Guide for Human Trafficking in American Schools from the U.S. Department of Education. So how can we make a difference? How can we help fill some of the gaps that exist that allow human trafficking to continue? With our children, we can meet them where they are, which is in the classrooms and in the schools. We do this in one of two ways. We have the Protect Human Trafficking Prevention Education and Training for K through 12 schools. The Protect program comes to us from 2015, where a coalition of 3 anti-trafficking nonprofits came together: Three Strands Global Foundation, Frederick Douglass Family Initiatives, and Love Never Fails. The Protect program is a multi-tiered, comprehensive human trafficking prevention program. Project Protect Our Children was the very first nonprofit across the nation to become licensed to facilitate implementation of the Protect program into school districts, and we remain the only nonprofit in the state of Texas. So how is Protect helping us fill those gaps? Well, one gap that has been identified is that our youth, they don't possess the knowledge or the skills that they need to be able to stay safe from exploitation. There's also a very lack of awareness in our understanding of what human trafficking really is in schools. What does it look like? And who is vulnerable? And where does it happen? So one solution is the Protect Human Trafficking Prevention Education curriculum for K through 12 schools. It's quoted, "The primary prevention education is valuable for all youth, not just those at highest risk for trafficking. Primary prevention education not only equips our youth with skills to stay safe from exploitation, but it also decreases the likelihood of future perpetration." And that comes from the strategic plan to combat human trafficking for the state of Texas. So the Protect program aims to prevent the crime before it happens by equipping elementary, all the way from elementary to high school students with the knowledge that they need to be able to identify abusive tactics and signs of exploitation. They are taught to be upstanders in potentially harmful situations and to be empowered to withstand their personal boundaries online and in person. It's critical that students learn how to protect themselves and each other and to be connected with resources that can help them. Another way that Protect helps fill the gaps is through its human trafficking prevention training for K through 12 staff. What we say when we go into a school district is we would love to provide this training from everyone, including your cafeteria workers to your bus school drivers, because we all have the ability to be able to recognize and identify, respond, and report a possible human trafficking situation. So through the training, Protect teaches both educators, administrators, counselors, and other school officials how to spot the different signs of human trafficking, how to recognize potential victims in the classroom, and whether that's in a virtual setting or in person. Through a trauma-informed approach, we can train our educators in the physical signs and behaviors that could be indicative of a student facing effects or trauma from a trafficking. We can equip them with the tools and the resources that they need to be able to report cases of human trafficking and connect them with potential victims to the proper professionals. The program itself, it starts with arming our school districts with a protocol. The protocol ensures that, that all of the community stakeholders in the event that a minor is identified or self-identifies of trafficking, that there's a proper coordinated, agreed upon response, and that procedures are in place. The training of the school staff. As I said before, we provide a human trafficking 101, 102, and 103. It's a comprehensive training to increase their knowledge on how to recognize human trafficking in a trauma-informed way. And then education. We provide certified educators within the classrooms to provide the human trafficking TEKS-aligned K through 12, research-based and age-appropriate lessons. Research. So first and foremost, we want to be able to define that we are meeting the objectives of our training of our lessons, and we want to be able to say, this is the difference that we're making within your schools. So we conduct pre and post surveys, both for the training and for the education lessons. So the outcomes of the program: safe schools, safe communities, and safer students. Prevention is everything, and together through education, we can prevent the crime before it happens. Change can happen with training all staff on human trafficking and raising student awareness. Through lessons designed to incite behavioral change in students, we are able to reduce the incident rates of exploitation in our youth. To give you a little bit more information about the journey to protect the human trafficking training for school educators and school personnel. The training itself gives the school staff the better understanding of what student vulnerabilities are, what are risks of exploitation, in order to learn more about how to protect themselves against the dangers of human trafficking. They learn about the importance of using a trauma-informed approach, as well as current laws and reporting processes to follow if they suspect a student has been exploited or is at risk. The training also includes an overview of how to report potential cases so that they are informed and prepared for how to move forward if they suspect that a student is being trafficked. The curriculum itself is 5 modules, 2 lessons each. K through 3, My Inner Voice. Adaptable for grades 4 through 6, Safe People, Safe Places, Safe Choices. Grades 7 through 8, Protecting a Masterpiece. Grades 9 and 10, Understanding and Recognizing Human Trafficking. Grades 11 and 12, Building Resilience and Protective Skills. Through all these curriculums, students have the ability to learn about the personal boundaries, identify who trusted adults are in their lives. The curriculums educate students about safety and their rights and how to communicate when their boundaries have been crossed. They learn about resilience and how to identify safe people, safe places, safe choices. The curriculum also identifies key health related concepts, encourages creative expression, and allows students to practice positive decision-making strategies. They're going to be able to learn about different forms of abuse and human trafficking, as well as how to look out for one another in the grades 7 through 8. Grades 9th and 10th, the curriculum teaches the students about healthy relationships, unhealthy relationships, and the different forms of human trafficking. They'll be empowered with the tools that they need to be able to recognize unsafe situations and be able to implement healthy decision-making strategies. The grade 11 through 12, Building Resilience and Protective Skills, encourages students through strategies that will help them thrive in the workplace and beyond. They're going to be able to learn the different forms of trafficking, including labor trafficking, the importance of their rights, as well as how to advocate for themselves and others. We began implementing the PROTECT program in the Greater Houston Metroplex, fall of 2021. And we see success as equipping students with the knowledge that will help enhance their personal boundaries and build resilience and increase the protective skills. So these are some of the statistics from our fall of 2021. So 94% of elementary students surveyed before and after receiving the PROTECT education report that they now understand that they have the right to say no in an uncomfortable situation. 92% of middle school students surveyed before and after receiving the PROTECT prevention education curriculum report that if someone contacts them through social media that they don't know, asking for personal information, that they will now block and report them, as well as tell a trusted adult. 97% of middle school students surveyed before and after receiving the PROTECT prevention education report that they now can define human trafficking. And let me just say that is amazing. The majority of Americans today, if you were to walk down the street and ask them to define human trafficking, I'd venture to say probably 1 out of 10 might be able to. And this is a quote from one of our school counselors. "What a day. Wow, your lessons are doing exactly what they are meant to do. I appreciate you and your dedication to a very hard job. I'm sure this pulls so much out of the kids, which I know will save so many lives." So meeting the students where they are, providing them with the knowledge and the skills to increase their protective factors, to build resilience, starting in elementary all the way through high school. Our second program that we offer within the schools, and it is actually adaptable and can be brought to church youth groups, is our Youth Action Board. You see, as stakeholders, when we come together and we talk about the different gaps that allow human trafficking to thrive, we often talk about our educators and our school staff being on the front lines, the ones that are most likely to be able to identify or recognize or be able to create change. But the Youth Action Board program came out of the concept that who is just one step ahead of that educator? Who is one step ahead of that administrator, but the students themselves? So why don't we give them the opportunity? You see, we believe that our youth have the capacity to become champions in the fight to end human trafficking. We believe that our youth are not just the victims. They can indeed be the champions if only given the opportunity. So we launched our Youth Action Board program. It was conceptualized in 2019, launched in 2020 within Humble ISD. It is meant to engage, educate, and empower, which are the 3 founding principles for Project Protect Our Children. We felt that if 9th through 12th graders felt called and wanted to make a difference in human trafficking, we wanted to give them the knowledge that they needed, the skills, give them the opportunity to bring human trafficking awareness to their peers, to their communities. So we launched the program in 2020, actually March of 2020, right amidst a pandemic. We know it was not the best time to launch a program in the schools, but we figured human trafficking didn't stop for the pandemic, so neither would we. I'm happy to say that we had 6 young high schoolers answer the call, and they became our inaugural Youth Action Board. What they were able to do during that time truly was groundbreaking. This is actually one of the quotes from this year's Youth Action Board member. "Although we are unable to change the factors that place a child at risk for trafficking, we are able to provide these children with awareness in order to prevent it from occurring. Therefore, by being on the Youth Action Board, I would be able to educate today's youth and prevent them from being exploited. Given the tools and knowledge, I will be able to educate my peers, teachers, and community in preventing the spread of human trafficking." You see, human trafficking campaigns, events, and activities that are created and championed by students can undoubtedly reach and impact their peers at a level that cannot be attained otherwise. The Youth Action Board program is a collective body of students that come together with the same goal. They have diverse perspectives. They have diverse experiences, identities, and cultural differences, but they are all working towards that same shared goal. These are some of the comments in quotes from our 2020-2021 inaugural Youth Action Board. Many people have no idea how common sex trafficking actually is. I would love to have the opportunity to spread awareness and help people realize this is not just something that happens in remote parts of cities or out in the country, but on the streets in their own neighborhoods. Another quote from another Youth Action Board member, Meg. I can no longer sit in the comfort of my safe home and loving family knowing that a girl my own age in my own city could be out there suffering. I desire to make a difference in my time. I refuse to become silent. Kendall, as a member of the Youth Action Board, I would work with my school to bring awareness as well as my community. I will be a voice for the silent. I will be a leader for social justice. And most importantly, I will be the ears and heart for the ones who need to be heard and felt. The reality is giving our youth the opportunity to bring human trafficking awareness to their peers, to the school staff, and to their communities truly is groundbreaking. And we at Project Protect Our Children feel like this will be what helps turn the tide. The 2021 Youth Action Board was able to bring human trafficking awareness to over 4,000 of the students, faculty, and community members through various events and activities that they planned and implemented within January for Human Trafficking Awareness of 2021. As you can see, we had several people that were willing to share their thoughts on the Youth Action Board and the accomplishments, from Congressman Crenshaw to Lieutenant Merritt of the Vice Division for Human Trafficking for HPD, from Commander Anthony Miller, the HPD Vice Division, to Dennis Mark, the Task Force Coordinator for the Human Trafficking Rescue Alliance in the Southern District of Texas. We would invite you to visit our website at www.projectprotectourchildren.com and take a look at the different youth action boards and some of the comments and some of the quotes about the program. So these are experiences. This is quotes from experiences from our inaugural Youth Action Board. The Youth Action Board has provided me with an invaluable opportunity to come together with fellow peers who share the same passion as I do in an effort to combat human trafficking. Being a part of the Youth Action Board this past year has both been a dream fulfilled and an honor bestowed. This is simply because the passion to end human trafficking is a common goal that ignites each and every YMB member that is a part of this program. An important basis that everyone on the board understands is that we are not there for ourselves. We are there to start a revolution to combat the pandemic of human trafficking. This past year has helped me grow as a person and as an advocate for survivors, because being a part of a group of such selfless and caring people has made me realize that alone we can make a difference, but united we are stronger. So to continue to grow the Youth Action Board movement of engaged, empowered, and an educated youth action, we put together a student engagement toolkit. We wanted to share everything that we have built within this program because we wanted to bring it to other communities. We wanted every high school to have the opportunity to have their own Youth Action Board. We wanted to provide it to youth serving organizations, to church youth groups, because we feel like our youth truly are going to be what turns the tide in human trafficking. In 2016, human trafficking was the #3 criminal industry. It is now the #2 criminal industry. I fear that if we don't do something, we will soon see it as the #1 criminal industry. I'm sure you've heard this already today, but just in case you haven't, if someone is going to make money illegally, what are they going to do? They're going to sell guns or they're going to sell drugs. And what happens when they sell guns or drugs? They have to go and buy more. Well, a human being can be sold again and again and again. So our children are nothing more than a means to make money. They are a commodity. We have to stop the continuation. We have to change the climate. We have to come together as a community, and we have to, we all have a role to play in fighting human trafficking. We have to engage our youth because, as we said before, they're not just the victims. They can be the champions if we can give them the resources, if we can give them the skills, if we can give them the opportunity to bring human trafficking awareness. So as we continue to think through how we could expand this program outside of our immediate reach, because we serve the greater Houston area, the thought process came, what about creating a online platform, a community of practice, a community of change makers, and a community of champions? You see, the 2021 Youth Action Board membership more than doubled in size, providing validation that the inaugural board's efforts have been recognized by their peers, and then the movement itself was indeed growing. So fall 2021, we launched the Youth Action Board Student Engagement Toolkit, and we had a great response from it. What we wanted to do, again, was how can we provide this youth to youth serving groups across the state, the state of Texas? It's scalable and it's replicable. It's a club program. So January 22, we started building our Youth Action Board online community of practice. It's going to be a powerful space for collaboration and knowledge creation so that we can deliver the resources needed for sustainable impact across the state of Texas and within our schools and our communities. The COP will harness the collective intelligence of all Youth Action Board advisors from across the state of Texas while providing invaluable resources to all Youth Action Board members. Our inaugural Youth Action Board members started the movement of engaged and educated and empowered youth, stepping up to become part of the solution. The COP will grow the youth-driven anti-human trafficking movement to create positive change and turn the tide across our state. So what is your role? How can you make a difference? Secretary Michael Pompeo in the June 2018 report was quoted saying, local communities are the most affected by this abhorrent crime and are also the first line of defense against human trafficking. Proactive, community-driven measures strengthen our ability to protect our most vulnerable and weaken a criminal's ability to infiltrate, recruit, and exploit. So again, I ask, what is your role? How can you make a difference? What can you do within your community? So first and foremost, showing up today, being a part and listening, you're being engaged. So first and foremost, thank you. You've already started. So what we would ask of you was to talk with your local school boards, talk with your school administration, your educators, ask them what they're doing within their schools. Do they have a K-12 human trafficking prevention program? Are they looking into a K-12 human trafficking prevention program? Maybe share what you've learned today about the PROTECT program. It's TEKS-aligned, research-based, age-appropriate. If you go to our website, you can easily download a letter that you can actually send to your school administrators, to your school educators, to your school board, asking them to look at the PROTECT program. Consider bringing the Youth Action Board program to your high schools or to your church group. The reality is it is scalable and is replicable, and we will give you all of the tools and all of the resources you need to be able to bring this program to your community. Help us grow the movement of engaged, educated, and empowered youth. Youth partners, community partners. We can always use community partners. the reality is everything we do, we are a nonprofit. And so if there's a way that you can think of that you can contribute, please reach out to us. Consider becoming a monthly donor. I can tell you today, it costs us $7 to provide the Protect Human Trafficking Prevention curriculum and training program per student to a school district. Volunteer. There are so many opportunities. The reality is, as nonprofits, every dollar, we are constantly striving to put every single dollar towards programs. So if you have a time or talent and you feel called, let us know. We can find a way to plug you in. And then Amazon Smile is an amazing way to give back. All of those Amazon one-click purchases can go towards Project Protect Our Children. So as we move forward, I wanted to give everyone the opportunity for question and answers. And then I definitely wanted to share our contact information with you. And just so you know, Chris, there we go. Now I'm pulling you back on the screen. I had multiple screens going. This year, we actually changed our shirt design. Our shirt, the majority of the programs that our Youth Action Board and activities that they conceptualize and bring to the schools are all within the schools. So it's really hard to have for them to come up with different opportunities to engage our communities, right? And so the shirt was their way to bring human trafficking awareness out within the community. And so the Not for Sale shirt is actually still for sale, and you can purchase it through our website. And then this year's shirt, I am excited to share, we did something a little bit different. We actually put a QR code on the back of it so that it can be scanned. And when you scan the QR code on the back of the shirt, it takes you to the red flags for sex trafficking and labor trafficking and how to report. So thank you so much for giving us this opportunity. And I definitely want to leave some time for any questions that you might have.
Spotlight me. I don't know that we've gotten in any questions for you today, Denise, but I know that these presentations and the life that they will have beyond this will definitely spur some questions. And thanks for giving us contact information so we can reach out to you.
Absolutely.
I love the witness of the youth that are involved and the focus on getting their voice. And thank you for bringing that to us. I know that there are other organizations too that are trying to work in the public school systems, and thanks be to God. I feel that in many ways our role as church and as parents is to, just as you encouraged us at the end, go ask our schools.
Yes.
What are you doing to help us with this? And whether that's a club format afterwards or whatever, there should be ways that we can get this type going wherever we live, wherever it may be. So just truly appreciate your time, Denise, and the efforts that you're pouring into the students, and they're gaining awareness, and just appreciate you being here with us today.
Well, thank you so much. And again, thank you for bringing this to the church communities, because the reality is we all have the ability to change the climate. So as a community and as a church, what many don't understand is that there is no overarching entity over school boards and school districts. So in a lot of ways, it is up to us as parents, as community members, to ask those questions. And see that the programs are within our schools, because I very much feel that our kids need to be given the knowledge and skills to be able to identify. You know, one of my favorite quotes is the eyes do not see what the mind does not know. And it's very true. We have to give them, just like we're teaching them math and how to read. The world that they live in today is a very different world. So
thanks again. And for those of you who are viewing, I know you'll want to come back and watch this again. Next up, we're going to be hearing from David Reed, who's going to be talking to us about how the businesses are getting involved in the fight. So once again, thanks for this presentation, Denise, and we'll see y'all on the next segment about businesses fighting trafficking. God bless you.